This Mother's Day, take your mom on a cruise through the amazing aisles at Half Price Books. It's a trip around the world. Invite her to spend the day with her favorite authors, actors, musicians, hobbyists, and of course, her most thoughtful kid. After all, browsing a great bookstore with a loved one is probably just her cup of tea. Hey, Mom gave you the gift of reading. Return the favor during Take Mom to a Bookstore Week, May 8th through Mother's Day at Half Price Books.
Will Jay Ajayi's production match his ADP? Who's the Sharky running back to own this year, Samaje Perine or Rob Kelley? And who will the Eagles be rolling out as their starting running back this season? Plus, PlayerProfiler.com founder and the podfather himself, Matt Kelley, drops in to discuss the fantasy rookie draft fallout from the NFL draft as we get you ready for your FFPC rookie drafts this weekend. We've got a great show for you. Dave Gerzak is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your high-stakes fantasy football hour starts now.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now listening to the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. It's the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for football analysis from the best fantasy players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak.
I don't like to dream about getting paid, so I dig into the books of the rhymes that I made.
Thank you so much, Rob. Greetings and salutations, all you Balkaholics and Gerzak addicts. Welcome to the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com right here on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network. I'm your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman, and my co-host is indeed the patron saint of fantasy football. You know him as the Dizzle. I know him as Dave Gerzak. Coming up on tonight's show, is there a top 30 receiver that can be had after round 15 in FFPC drafts right now? Is Will Fuller's new quarterback actually going to hurt his dynasty value? And PlayerProfiler.com founder Matt Kelley joins us to discuss Kevin White's dynasty value, who he likes better between Juju Smith-Schuster and Taywan Taylor, plus much more. Shout out to the chat room right now. Feel free to post any questions you might have right in there now. If you want to connect with us on Twitter, you can do so with the show at HSFF Hour, with me at Eric Balkman, or with David Gerzak at David Gerzak. You can also follow Matt Kelley, tonight's guest, on Twitter at fantasy_mansion. You can post on our Facebook page at any time, facebook.com/HSFFO. If you want to chime in and talk with us, give us a call at 347-426-3682. That's 347-GAME-OVA. You can also email the show at the inbox, highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. If you have any questions for us, now is the time to send them in. We'll do our best to get to all of the chat room questions, all of the tweets, all of the emails in the fantasy feedback segment later on in the show. Of course, our producer and man behind the glass, Rob, is working very hard on getting those questions to us. He is helped out once again by our trusty audio engineer, Bryce. It is FFPC Rookie Draft Weekend this weekend, Dave, and it's an exciting weekend for me. I didn't even tell you this.
Oh, yeah? What's going on?
Tonight, allegedly, we'll see what happens when I get home. Tonight is the first night I actually get to sleep in my own bed since the night before the NFL draft. Because of my nose, my wife has not allowed me to sleep in the same bed as her because it keeps her up. But she said for the last 2 nights...
Your broken nose?
My broken nose. She said she has not...
Did you tell the nose story on?
No, I never did because we're covering a live draft last week, so I never talked about it.
You want to talk about it?
We can. I mean, just long story short, I ended up breaking my nose in Chicago for the NFL draft. Not for the NFL draft, but when we were down there early Friday morning, very early Friday morning, I ended up getting up to nature was calling, as it were. I was in an unfamiliar hotel room, a bit dehydrated.
Well, it was your hotel room. It was unfamiliar just because you'd not...
Right.
Let's just not make, you weren't anywhere.
Basically, all I remember was pain washing over my face, and I don't know if I dropped to my knees and just slept or if I was completely unconscious for 3 hours, but I probably was unconscious for 3 hours, may have gotten a concussion. I have a non-displaced fracture of my nose. It will take 6 to 8 weeks to heal. Now only 4 to 6 more weeks to heal.
Doesn't look bad, actually.
Yeah, the swelling still is probably going to last for another couple of weeks, but it's almost back to normal, and the jokes last forever. So that's what happened, and I'm excited to sleep in my own bed tonight. I forgot what it's like.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Very exciting with that. Two-packer in the chat room. What happened with your nose? Please tell in full detail. Two-packer who was there for it. Who I semi-blame for it, which, I blame him for everything.
It was like a Tarantino movie in there for a little while.
It was bad. There was a lot of blood. But anybody who's interested, by the way, go ahead and DM me at Eric Balkman on Twitter. I'll send you the blood puddle photo. Yeah. I don't want to put that out for public consumption.
We tipped the housekeeping staff quite handsome.
Yes. They may have retired after this weekend or after that weekend. Maybe you can retire after you win $250,000 at the FFPC main event. Right now, your time is running out on that early bird. Only 19 days left. If you're listening to this on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network on Saturday afternoon, 18 days left. Until that early bird expires, remember, you get $100 off your main event team. You will get entered into the Pros versus Joes drawing, and you will also get your draft spot as early as anyone else in the main event this year. Sign up at myffpc.com. Also a reminder that you can register for your discounted room at Planet Hollywood. The link to do so is right on the FFPC message boards, the FFPC blog, the FFPC newsletter. You will not get a better rate than that anywhere in Vegas for Planet Hollywood that weekend. It is going to be a lot of fun. We hope you can join us live. And, of course, in addition to those live high-stakes leagues out in Planet Hollywood, we have Dynasty startups filling all summer long. Of course, rookie drafts kick off this weekend, but doesn't mean you can't sign up for your next Dynasty. And, of course, draft experts, superflexes, classics, all going on. 2 live drafts tomorrow, 2 live drafts Sunday, more live drafts next week. It is going to be a cavalcade of live drafting and still some slow drafting from here on out, people. Buckle up. It is going to be a fun ride. Thank you to Football Guys and our producer, Rob, for tonight's rundown. Kicking things off with Josh Gordon. His reinstatement petition was denied on Thursday. He can reply this fall. This according to the report filed by Tom Pelissero from USA Today Sports. Gordon, of course, applied for reinstatement back in March. The league is not going to let him in right now, if they ever let him back in. Josh Gordon needs to show that he is serious about getting back onto the NFL gridiron if he wants to play in the league again. Really has not been a fantasy asset since 2013. And I also heard, Dave, that about 2 weeks ago, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, somewhere in the last week to 2 weeks, his agent actually severed ties with Gordon,
really?
too. So that's another
that means
red flag. He was doing something that obviously made that agent walk away from what could have been a potential payday. Which
never happened.
Yeah, it doesn't, and it did with Josh Gordon's case. Now, I heard some people are looking at this as a buy opportunity for Josh Gordon in Dynasty Leagues.
Send me an offer.
Yes, I cannot. I mean, I'd be hard-pressed to find a roster spot for Josh Gordon on any of my leagues right now. To me, feel free to cut ties because it is going to get worse before it gets better for Josh Gordon.
Yeah, I don't see him coming back, unfortunately.
It's unfortunate. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's just like, and think about all the people who have put their faith in Josh Gordon over the last couple of years. Oh, he's this close to coming back. He's this close to coming back. And it never happened. So cautionary tale for anybody out there who's waiting for guys to come back from suspension. You might be waiting longer than you think.
Well, even if he did pass all the drug tests, it's like he's been out for so long. You just don't know. Although he looked athletic when he was running around. I mean, He looks like he's in good shape.
Yes, and it could have been the tonic that the Browns needed.
I think it's funny is in 10 years that pot could be legal in the NFL. It's so. Or if this was, does the NBA even test for marijuana? Or do they just? I think they give out baggies when you get drafted.
Yeah, well, I think they do at halftime.
It's like cool.
I don't know how there'd be an NBA if they tested for marijuana. Yeah, the
commissioner's like, gambling's cool too, and here's some pot.
Right. That's two things that would never, like Roger Goodell. Oh, pot, never. We are totally against pot and gambling. By the way, we're putting a team in Vegas.
Yeah. And Josh Gordon was 0.01 micrograms of THC over the limit, and he would be suspended forever.
Yep, exactly. Jay Ajayi could see 22 to 25 carries per game this season, according to Dolphins head coach Adam Gase. Gase says that he needs to feel out the situation a little bit. This was a report written by Omar Kelley from the Sun Sentinel. There is not much else as far as running back talent goes on the Dolphins roster that is in competition for touches for Jay Ajayi. There was a bit of a slow start for Ajayi last year. Remember, we saw Arian Foster take the lead in the starting running back sweepstakes, as it were, in Miami, and never relinquished it until he got hurt, and then Jay Ajayi, pun intended, ran with the job. We'll see how Jay Ajayi responds and acts and performs this year, knowing that he is the starter from the get-go. You remember, he did have several 200-yard games last year. He also had some pretty bad games coupled with those 200-yard games. Dave, he is going in FFPC drafts right now with the third to last pick of the second round, the 210 pick. Is this a price that you would be looking to pay for Jay Ajayi this year?
I would, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I would not.
Good.
Why do you like Jay Ajayi at the end of round 2?
He's going to get 352 to 400 carries, Balky. According to the coach.
Right now, who also admitted that he needs to feel out the situation a little bit more.
Maybe it's more.
So you actually
400 carries. This is great.
So you like Jay Ajayi there?
Sure. Why not?
If he is going to be picked at the end of the second round,
yeah,
that to me that makes him a slam dunk top 10 running back, correct?
He should be a top 10 running back.
Okay,
but not top 4, But he's at that point it's probably like the 8th or 9th running back getting picked.
I'm going to give you some leeway on this one here.
Go ahead.
I'll give you a top 10.
All right.
I got 5 on Jay Ajayi not being a top 10 running back this year.
So he has to pretty much stay injury free as well,
Well, I mean, you are hoping with any high draft pick that they remain injury free.
You know what? I'll do that. That's fine.
All right, so I got 5 on Jay Ajayi, not finishing among the top 10 running backs this year.
I should do it as points per game, but we'll just do it as overall points. So fine. I got
what do you mean? Okay.
I got 5 on him
okay.
actually being a top 10.
I can't even meet you halfway on that because
there's only one way. We'll do it with you.
There is only one way. I got 5 on Jay Ajayi not being a top 10 running back. Dave has
5 on the opposite. I don't just feel like saying all Great.
All right. Jay Ajayi, more money indeed for one of us. Moving on, Dave, the next item on the rundown here, Quincy Enunwa believes he is going to have an opportunity to do a lot more than he was able to do in 2016. This is SNY's Ralph Vacchiano, not sure how to pronounce it. He suggests that the 24-year-old receiver may be the team's top receiver if Eric Decker cannot make it back from hip and shoulder surgery. If Decker is indeed limited, then Enunwa could be the man in the Jets offense. Dave, you already probably saw where he's going right now. Did you look where he's going?
Yeah, no, 16-10.
Yeah, that's fine. 16-10. Yeah. How can you not be all over that right now?
That's cheap.
It's basically free.
6'2", 225. And Enunwa actually, he actually had really good metrics when he was coming out of college.
The other thing too, it's like, I understand everybody, who wants to do these slow drafts and you want to have, build your portfolio or whatever. I don't know why in 28 rounds you're not just getting Enunwa at everywhere in the 16th, 15th, 16th round. Yeah. I don't know I mean, certainly there's some running backs that would maybe represent a little bit more of an upside than Enunwa there. But to me, it's just like if I'm doing those slow drafts right now, I'm getting Enunwa everywhere I can.
It's really annoying that I don't have him in any of my dynasty leagues. And I knew about this guy, but I was too stupid to pick him up. So that's just a little personal aside.
Right. Would you be looking at trading for him in dynasty leagues right now?
I haven't seen him traded anywhere. I would, actually. But I don't.
What would you give up for him? I'm just curious. Let's say if you were looking to make a trade for him in, I don't know, the Blake Harrington dynasty league.
So let's say, this is an interesting question.
Yes.
Because, so let's say you have like the 211 pick, right?
Yeah.
So like you're looking at, there you take a guy like a Tywan Taylor or like a Cooper Kupp or those are the types of
yeah. Yeah, that seems accurate.
Or you want Quincy Enunwa. I mean, I guess if your team is more competitive right now, and you think he keeps the job, I guess.
Well, technically he doesn't have it right now. I mean, Decker does have it. We're just assuming that Decker is not going to be able to come back fully from these injuries.
Well, I mean, he could start on the other side. Do you think Robbie Anderson or Darius Stewart starts over?
Okay, that's fine. I mean, but the key in this whole situation is that Enunwa is the one. Like, that's what we're focusing on.
Okay, fine.
The 2 in that offense, though, I mean, it's just like...
I mean, the quarterbacks would be fantastic.
Yeah, that's my point. We don't even know. Well, do we want to break news? Can we do this?
Sure, go ahead.
No, you are the one who got the news. You got the juicy nugget of the Jets quarterback situation. I don't know if we can talk about this.
I don't know if we...
Now I feel like Cecil Lammey. Oh, Bloom, I know. I just can't share it.
Well, all I know is you don't have to go to Harvard to know that there's an opportunity possibly out there at quarterback.
Fair enough. Well done, my friend.
So there you go.
I like that.
Anunwa, I'd pay a third rounder for him. I mean, I would try and buy low enough. What, you own him and you want to sell him to me? I don't.
That's exactly what I was looking at.
We'll see.
Okay. Well, I do have him in Carrington, and I have a glut of receivers. Yeah.
I do have a pretty good one.
By the way, I sent Two-Packer another trade offer in our never-ending Martavis Bryant trade discussion.
Well, tell me, what was it all about?
I'm only giving up a. Well, let's okay.
You're selling.
Yeah, I think it was now Two-Packers in the chat, so you can actually tell everybody. But I would be trading Martavis Bryant and like the 204 or somewhere. I think I could be wrong. Right. And then he gives me I think the 111 and like another second rounder. I believe something like that.
That's too much.
Let's make it happen.
Good gracious. You are still...
It's not like an early second rounder, I don't think.
Smoking Josh Gordon's weed.
I'd have to look at I'd have to look it up, but I believe that's what it was right now. Moving on. Latavius Murray and Dalvin Cook are expected to engage in a, quote, heated competition and eventually forge an established committee to replace Adrian Peterson, this according to the Minneapolis Star-Tribune's Andrew Kramer, I believe. Kramer.
There's two M's, so it's Kramer.
It's got to be Kramer. Cook is the more pedigreed of the two. He is a more natural runner, more natural receiver out of the backfield. But remember, Minnesota paid Latavius Murray 3-year, $15 million contract earlier this year. But then they traded up to get Dalvin Cook in the draft in the second round. So you look at this situation right now, Dave. Dalvin Cook going at the 506 in FFPC drafts, Latavius Murray not going off the board until the 804. Who right now presents the better value to you? And neither is a suitable answer to this as well.
You know, this is weird. I never have really owned Latavius Murray, but actually I'm looking at I think I would look at Murray in the 8th round.
Yeah, I was way off in that Bryant trade. So I would be trading Martavis Bryant and a late third. I think it's the 311 for the 112 and the 204.
All right, so okay.
That's not terrible. That's the best offer I've sent him so far.
So you're dealing Bryant in a late, dude. This is laughable.
For who?
For him.
That
Bryant isn't even worth the 112.
That he's not worth the 112. No. Whatever. You guys are just ridiculous.
I've been getting Tyreek Hill for the 112, a receiver that's awesome.
Martavis Bryant is awesome.
He's not even losing his job to the Jujubee.
No, that's Sammy Coates is losing his job to the Jujubee.
Jeez, man.
That's what it is.
You are living in an alternate universe.
You know, whatever. I plant my flag in reality.
If you get the
whenever you want to come join me, that's fine.
That would be enough.
I would never part with Martavis Bryant for that.
Good gracious.
Okay, anyway. So
unbelievable. Getting
back to Cook and Murray here. You said you like Murray in the 8th, but not Cook in the 5th.
Correct. Not that, you know, at this very moment, if I was drafting, I would not be drafting Cook in the 5th, even though it's worth a flyer for people. Yeah. But I would probably...
To me, I don't like to take flyers in the 5th round.
Yeah, I mean, with Murray, you know, he's in great shape. He's a big dude, 6'2", 230 or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, and I just traded him in Dynasty for the 311, actually.
And Cook could, he went to Florida State, so he's not too educated. So obviously...
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
Not be aware of how the playbook works and all that.
Yeah, whatever. All right, listen, that concludes our Minnesota Vikings running back discussion tonight. We hope you enjoyed it. We are going to have the best part of the show, the entree, coming up as Matt Kelley from PlayerProfiler.com joins us right after this break. I'm Eric Balkman. He's Dave Gerzak. You're listening to the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour right here on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network. The HSFF Hour rolls on here on what should be a national holiday, FFPC Rookie Draft Weekend. Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak here on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network. Let us bring in tonight's guest here, ladies and gentlemen, and get some opinions on somebody who knows what the hell they're talking about. He is a Northwestern graduate who left a corporate software job to launch PlayerProfiler.com, one of the industry's authoritative football player data sources. Player Profiler provides a single point of entry to look up all relevant data on football players, college and NFL stats, advanced efficiency stats, and metrics, workout metrics, and injuries, all on one screen. You follow him on Twitter at @fantasy_mansion. Please welcome into the show Matt Kelley. Thanks for coming on tonight, Matt.
Well said, Eric. Well said.
But listen, I'm great with the audiobook reading, but all props to whoever wrote that, because clearly they are the wordsmith.
Well, I wrote it, but you said it.
Matt, we're very pleased to have you join us tonight. Tell us a little bit more about how PlayerProfiler.com, how it got its start, why it was launched, what the site is all about.
Well, again, you did a great job summarizing it. I won't beat that, but basically, a couple of years ago, I realized that there seemed to be a glaring need in the industry. I always had so many windows open, so many tabs open in my browser, trying to look up the guy's 40 time, the guy's vertical jump, also trying to look up some advanced efficiency metrics over here, some stats over there. So I wanted to bring it all together to one single point of entry, as you mentioned, have the basic stats, the advanced stats, the college stats, the workouts, the injuries, all in one easy-to-use screen. And we cancel out all the noise, so we don't give you a lot of numbers that you don't care about. Truly, what you see on the Player Profiler screen, most people, it's an epiphany when they first see it, because they're like, okay, finally, I don't have to worry about all those other numbers that don't matter. I get air yards, I get juke rate, I get their burst score, I get their college dominator. There it is, all on one screen. And so we basically flipped it. We flipped the experience that the normal fantasy football website offers. So most publishing websites for fantasy football analysis were article-based, right? Blog-based. And you could potentially click on a player's name in an article and get a little bit more information on the player. We flipped that around 180 degrees and said, no, instead of starting with the article and then drilling into a player, you start with the player's data first, and then we'll provide you with related articles and all this other information. In that way, it's sort of the reverse user experience that people are used to, and for some people, it really resonated. So it's been good.
So, Eric, are we talking? Is there any discussion about how the FFPC?
Well, that's the great thing about this here. I'm just listening to this right now, and I'm just like, wow, this is fantastic. Why can't the FFPC ever get some sort of integration with the Player Profiler offerings here? And the great thing is,
an infomercial.
Well, and I'll just say, like, the prognosticator, Alex Kaganowski, has been a big. He's been the spearhead behind this.
The largest advocate ever.
Yes.
He was when he was telling me about the site. I actually had seen your site before, but he's like, doing Alex saying, have you heard about the Player Profiler?
Dave, I don't know if you've heard of this website, PlayerProfiler.com. I don't know if you heard. It's really. I mean, he's got a lot of great stuff on there, and
yeah, I've seen it, Alex. I've seen it.
So something like that for FFPC, I feel like that could be a great asset to really separate ourselves from a lot of the other competition out there. So I don't know. I was talking when I asked you the question, so I didn't actually hear you answer me. What did you actually say?
Yes, I've seen it.
So that's my Alex.
Very good.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway.
What do you think, Matt?
So very cool.
I think all
Alex
great
got
impressions are some version of a Christopher Walken impression. I think that was perfect. That was great.
That's true. All right, so let's talk a little fantasy with Washington drafting.
What I could tell you what we're doing with the FFPC is,
yeah, we should do that. Talk a little bit about that, Matt, because that's.
I guess instead of talking about Samaje Perine.
Yeah, we're gonna get into what Player Profiler and FFPC are working on.
Samaje Perine. I can talk fast about Samaje Perine, but in terms of what the FFPC is doing, is we launched an innovative integration with them this year, so that when you click on a player card from a list of players in a free agent pool, for example, you will see Player Profiler stats embedded in the player's page. So this is sort of the seamless integration between our platform and the FFPC platform. And I think this is going to hopefully spark a revolution. But as you mentioned, Alex was forward-thinking. And he really approached me and said, hey, we need to figure out a way to work together. Let's get some of this data available to our high-stakes players on the platform when they're going to draft a player, when they're searching for players to pick up in free agency, and boom, we're making it happen. Making things happen, baby.
That's what it's all about. Something we've never done on this show is make anything happen.
Well, speaking of making things happen,
yeah,
it's not launched yet.
Right.
Of course, it's not Player Profiler's fault.
No, it's totally.
It's always our fault.
It's obviously FFPC's fault, just like everything else. So yes, but it is coming. It's coming soon, and we're both we're all very excited.
All good things, gentlemen. All good things.
Excellent.
All right, let's talk about some P, Ryan. Samaje P. Ryan.
You guys like
Samaje
P. Ryan or
round.
what?
Yeah, what do you think of him? So he's where do you think he should be going in rookie drafts? And would you try and trade Rob Kelley at the same time?
Can you get anything for Rob Kelley at this point? They just drafted Rob Kelley's replacement in Samaje P. Ryan, so I think that sound you hear, that is the Rob Kelley balloon losing air very quickly in dynasty leagues. We have Samaje P. Ryan as the number 5 back in this rookie class. The rankings on playerprofiler.com go Christian McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette, Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara, and then Samaje P. Ryan. The reason why Kamara and P. Ryan are in the top 5 is because situation matters. Even in Dynasty, you want your rookie running backs to produce in year 1. And we know with Kamara and we know with P. Ryan, they landed in the ideal situations for each of their skill sets. What does Washington offer? Lots of red zone carries. And what is P. Ryan great at? Punching it into the red zone. But that's also something that Rob Kelley's good at, right? And we know that Jay Gruden loves Rob Kelley, has the great nickname, Fat Rob. Love Fat Rob. Go, love Fat Rob. Love Fat Rob. Just love Fat Rob. Got to get the ball to Fat Rob. Going to use Fat Rob. Love Fat Rob. But you kind of drafted a better version of Fat Rob and Samaje P. Ryan. So because of that, I think that Rob Kelley will be the token starter to begin the season, but every week you're going to start to see his opportunity share get slowly crowded out as Samaje P. Ryan cannibalizes those touches, particularly around the goal line. Those high-scoring opportunities for fantasy running backs are going to start to go to Samaje P. Ryan because he's simply better. You look at the workout metrics on playerprofiler.com. Even though he's not particularly fast or agile, he's at least more athletic than Rob Kelley, one of the least athletic running backs in the league. The thing with Samaje P. Ryan, though, is that he's much closer to a Rob Kelley replacement than he is a Matt Jones replacement. Talk to anyone that's familiar with his work at Oklahoma. Samaje P. Ryan has those intangibles that the coaches love about Rob Kelley. So Samaje P. Ryan brings the intangibles, and he's just a better power back overall. So in Dynasty, I'm all about the P. Ryan, and I am trying to quietly sell off the Rob Kelley whenever I can include him somehow, some way in a trade.
Do you guys have pronunciation stuff on Player Profiler for names like Perrine and P. Ryan yet?
Is it P. Ryan or Perrine?
No, it's P. Ryan.
I think it is. I think it is P. Ryan.
But that's the problem we're running
I heard
into. We
P.
got
Ryan.
Deonta Foreman or whatever the hell his name is.
Oh, Dante. I always just assume it's Dante. All the spellings, right? Like Devontae and Dante. I always just say Devontae. There's 3 or 4 different spellings of Devontae, whether it's Devontae Booker, Devontae Freeman. I always just say Devontae Parker. And if someone corrects me and says, oh, no, it's not Devontae, I'm like, well, that's a shocker. It's the first person that's not pronouncing it exactly Devontae, regardless of the spelling.
I think that was a trend at that, like maybe that 5-year window of a bunch of Devontae names.
That could be, yeah. You never know. Listen, Matt, I'm curious
like
to
touchdowns in Dynasty. You should be trying to draft Samaje P. Ryan late in the first round of Dynasty rookie drafts.
That makes perfect sense to me. I'm
He just
totally on board.
He went in a couple of drafts. He went the 108, then the 110, and I actually saw him at the 112.
No,
in some recent.
Fair.
He's all over.
Fair.
He's jumping around.
All fair. I handshake to all those guys. Congratulations. You have a good draft pick on your hands.
Matt Kelley from PlayerProfiler.com joining us tonight.
Matt should be the new co-host. I think he's doing a better job.
Listen, he is at the top of the list right now. Don't blow this for me.
He's more likable too.
Yes, totally. Matt, Deshaun Watson is a good thing, obviously, for DeAndre Hopkins as we look at what Houston's quarterback situation was like last year. But is he necessarily a good thing for Will Fuller's skill set and his dynasty stock? As we expect Watson to take over maybe as soon as week 1 in Houston.
I don't think Deshaun Watson will be the quarterback in week 1. I think that there will be a wake-up call for Deshaun Watson and Deshaun Watson enthusiasts in training camp and in preseason as people start to realize, we might have a problem here. Houston, we have a problem. It's not college anymore. He can't just launch it up to Mike Williams anymore and expect either an incompletion or actually quite a few interceptions that he had. The problem with Deshaun Watson is that he lacks requisite arm strength. And this is an enormous problem. It was hugely underreported. And I think there's a chance that he could have fell out of the first round if Houston didn't trade up and draft him. I think Houston was negotiating against themselves to get Deshaun Watson. A lot of teams did not have Deshaun Watson graded as a first-round quarterback because of the arm strength. When they measured his throw velocity at the combine, 49 miles per hour was where he topped out. It was a range of 45 to 49. Put it in context. There's one quarterback in the NFL that's a starter with a throw velocity below 52 miles per hour. That's Tyrod Taylor checking in at 50 miles per hour. And Tyrod Taylor was near the bottom of the league last year in deep ball completion percentage. So now you ask Deshaun Watson with an even weaker arm than the weakest arm currently starting in the NFL to go out and be a successful quarterback? I very much question that. I think Deshaun Watson has bust written all over him. I would rather have Deshaun Kaiser. I'd much rather have Patrick Mahomes than Deshaun Watson at quarterback. I think that it's a push for DeAndre Hopkins. I don't think that it's an upgrade for him, really. I think that you need to temper expectations for DeAndre Hopkins. Anyone that thinks this Deshaun Watson pick is some kind of savior pick is misguided. And Will Fuller is in even worse position because the one thing that you can't do if you lack arm strength, throw velocity, is push the ball deep. Also, the tight window throws, also the deep out routes that DeAndre Hopkins loves. These are all going to be very challenging for Deshaun Watson. Will Fuller wins in those deeper quadrants of the football field, and that's where Deshaun Watson often gets a little bit too much air under the ball, can't quite fit it in to those deeper windows where you really need to take advantage of Will Fuller's skill set. So Will Fuller was one of our big losers from the draft based on the Deshaun Watson pick.
We had a little discussion on Twitter about that, Balky, the whole miles per hour thing.
Yeah.
A few people were refuting it, and I'm on board with Matt's position on that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
It was logged by lots of different people. They did lots of different radar guns at the Combine and at his pro day. It's a fact. There were actually scouts at his pro day who were embarrassed. They were privately, they were shaking their head, and they were embarrassed. They were thinking, they're talking to themselves, and they just were looking at the ground. They didn't want to look Deshaun Watson in the eye because they knew in their hearts this guy probably isn't going to be an NFL quarterback for very long. He'll be a great player in the CFL. I mean, he's going to have an amazing career in the Canadian Football League. But NFL arm strength is not in his range of outcomes. He doesn't have it. He's not going to develop it. I think he's going to lift weights and somehow develop a great throwing arm. It's not going to happen. It's not like a pitcher in baseball where you develop a knuckleball. If he can't throw with requisite velocity to hit these tight windows in the NFL, he can't play.
He's a great CFL dynasty pick, but NFL, maybe not so much.
Have an amazing career. I mean, you will have all the accolades. His trophy room will be filled with Canadian Football League hardware.
Two-packer in the chat room. Watson loved Jack Hahn's tweet of the T-Rex, T-Rex dinosaur with the short arms, throwing the deep out. Anyway, so let's move on. Let's talk about Ty Montgomery.
Deep out,
what do you?
Not something that he can do.
No, I agree. What do you think of the dynasty value of Ty Montgomery right now? Because the Packers drafted 3 running backs, but none of them really that early. What do you think?
What am I missing here with Ty Montgomery? I mean, can you guys explain this to me? There's no more Eddie Lacy. There's no more James Starks. He's the last man standing. Ty Montgomery is the new alpha dog in the backfield. And the Packers brought in a couple mid-round picks that are coin flips to be relevant ever. Certainly not Jamal Williams. I mean, Jamal Williams is the quintessential just a guy running back. I mean, played all 4 years at BYU, was never a special producer, never got anywhere close to 2,000 rushing yards, wasn't a particularly efficient runner. And then when he tested at the combine, his athleticism was in the 8th percentile. We have a metric on playerprofiler.com called SparkX, which approximates the Nike athleticism metric. 95.5, 8th percentile SparkX score for Jamal Williams. He's best comparable to players like Robert Turbin. So he is a one-dimensional, between-the-tackles, replacement-level guy. Aaron Jones is better. They got Aaron Jones later, but Aaron Jones is significantly better, was hugely productive at UTEP, also incredibly efficient and athletic in the 90th percentile in burst and agility. So we like Aaron Jones more than we like Jamal Williams, but these are still mid-round rookies. You never know what you're going to get. It's very much a trick-or-treat situation with these mid-round rookie running backs. Ty Montgomery showed you that he can be a productive and efficient NFL running back, and he has the size. He's 6'2", 215. It's not like he's a scat back. So it's in Ty Montgomery's range of outcomes that he could become the bell cow, every down running back for the Green Bay Packers. Like, that is possible. I'm not saying it's definite, but it's absolutely in his range of outcomes. And a lot of dynasty ranking services are not factoring that upside into where they're ranking Ty Montgomery. We have him ranked higher than most.
So, Matt, let me ask you this, because the counter to that would be, okay, if all of that is true, then why, when the Packers had nary a warm body in the backfield last year, why were they not pounding the ball to Ty Montgomery more when they needed somebody to step up? Was it just the fact that he...
That's not how they play. That's not how they play call. That's just not their game. They're a pass-first team. They're going to be a pass-first team as long as Aaron Rodgers is there. They know the pass is a more efficient play call than the run, and it's a lot more efficient when it's Aaron Rodgers doing the throwing. So I don't blame them. If I would do the same thing. If I were running their offense, we would skew pass heavy, absolutely. But the beauty of Ty Montgomery is he's a great receiver, and he was great when called upon in the run game last year. 6.7 yards per touch, 5.9 yards per carry. We have a metric called juke rate, evaded tackles per touch, maybe my favorite on-field efficiency metric. Evaded tackles per touch is a measure of elusiveness. 37.7% juke rate for Ty Montgomery last year was number 3 in the NFL. So he was incredibly elusive, great yards after contact numbers. I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like, what am I missing? Like, this guy ascended last year. He became the guy in the backfield, and he's got great receiving capability tethered to Aaron Rodgers. Like, fantasy football doesn't have to be hard. Just draft Ty Montgomery. Don't overthink it.
We definitely will not anymore, that's for sure. Matt Kelley from playerprofiler.com joining us. Follow him on Twitter at @fantasy_mansion. Matt, you recently were in a dynasty draft. Had to choose between a couple of receivers, Juju Smith-Schuster and Taywan Taylor. Tell us about the thought process on which of those guys you selected.
Were you spying on me? How'd you find out about this?
You apparently you are tweeting out more than you think you're tweeting out.
What's happening? Do you have my FFPC login too?
Oh, we have that. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, listen, plenty more of that. Our friends in Russia.
Your IP address. We got that too.
Exactly, yeah. No, we're all over it.
This is creepy.
I think you hung up.
I posted it on Twitter. I'm just joking. So this is what happens. By default, because I've loved Juju Smith-Schuster for years, I've always had him in my top 5. Always, right? Always. Juju Smith-Schuster, pencil him into the top 5 2017 wide receivers in rookie drafts. I mean, there's just no question, right? There's just no question. So I've always been just posting him up at the 3, 4, 5 position. But then I'm in a dynasty rookie draft, and other receivers are flying off the board, and he's still there, and Juju's lingering. I need a wide receiver. And I go to pick a wide receiver, and I have Juju Smith-Schuster selected. I'm about to hit draft, and at the last minute, I just changed it real quick. I hit Taywan Taylor. I hit draft, and I said, I did it! I can't can't do it. I just can't do Juju Smith-Schuster because I'm terrified of Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger last year admitted that he cannot practice. And I've talked to former players, and they said, we know this situation. We've seen it before with other players. Once they get to the point they can no longer practice and they are having real reservations in the offseason about playing anymore, that's real. You think Ben Roethlisberger likes the drama? Do you think he likes the attention that he's getting with his mulling of retirement? Do you think this is an act to get attention? No, I think it's real. I think it's genuine. Do you watch Ben Roethlisberger play? He doesn't take a dive anytime a defender's around him like Eli Manning. He does not go down. They are twisting. They are pulling. They are tearing Ben Roethlisberger apart like a rag doll in the pocket to get him to go down. And look at the injury history. On playerprofiler.com, we have an injury history panel. There you can see the torn meniscus and the sprained knees and the torn labrums. This guy is in constant pain, and I believe he will retire in the next couple of years. At the very moment that Juju Smith-Schuster is finally achieving a significant fantasy-relevant target share, Ben Roethlisberger will be pulled out from under him. So the moment where you might actually use Juju Smith-Schuster, he's not going to have a quarterback. So for that reason, I'd much rather have Taywan Taylor, who I think has a similar skill set, maybe better suited for his quarterback, because Taywan Taylor's best comparable player on playerprofiler.com, it's Doug Baldwin. And Doug Baldwin is a perfect fit for the mobile quarterback who's very careful with the football in Russell Wilson. Well, Marcus Mariota is Russell Wilson South. So you can imagine Taywan Taylor and Russell Wilson fitting together perfectly. I think for many years to come, it's going to be Corey Davis and Taywan Taylor tethered to Marcus Mariota. There's going to be that fantasy triangle, those three players. So I'm happy to have Taywan Taylor tethered to Marcus Mariota for the next 10 years in Dynasty. Can't do it with Juju Smith-Schuster. Just can't do it.
No Schuster, Balky.
I got it. No, trust me.
I love Juju Smith-Schuster. His sophomore season in USC was one of the best age-adjusted production seasons in the history of the playerprofiler.com database, and we love age-adjusted dominance from our wide receivers. But last year was a significant regression, and his measurables at the Combine were not impressive. Taywan Taylor's a better athlete. Taywan Taylor was more consistently dominant at Western Kentucky than Juju Smith-Schuster was at USC, and I love Taywan Taylor's situation. I do not love Juju Smith-Schuster's situation.
So, by the way, did we talk about his show on iTunes?
No, we have not. We have not yet. But I like to leave that stuff for then, unless you want to talk about it now.
No, I feel he came on, and I'm like, Matt's like a ringer. This is like, like you're like if you go to like a jiu-jitsu match or something like that. I go in against somebody, I'm like, oh, this guy looks pretty good, and all of a sudden it's like. Yeah, he's a brown belt. You're like, what the hell's going on?
Cobra Kai.
Yeah, just kicked my ass in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
No wonder this guy actually is a professional. He knows what he's doing. Roto Underworld Radio on iTunes. That's great. So we'll get into that. Paul, can you give me the whole
radio? I bring him on and yell at him.
So actually, speaking of Twitter, I'm actually kind of pissed off that this news just came out because my sleeper, Chad Williams, that I drafted so far, I've had 2 dynasty drafts this year. I've drafted him at the 3-1-2 and the 406. Is supposedly, according to Howard Harold Goodwin, and you just retweeted it, is going to be the successor to Larry Fitzgerald. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, I'm Mr. Chad Williams. So I was the guy talking about Chad Williams before the Combine non-invite. I took that personally, by the way. Chad, if you're out there, Chad Williams family, I took that non-invite personally. That was a snub. That was bullshit. I don't know if I can say that on the air. I don't care.
You just did.
It's fine.
Yeah. That was bull bleep. Okay? I'm still hot about it. I'm still hot. Not inviting Chad Williams from Grambling to the Combine. What are you thinking? Well, guess what? Someone from the Cardinals went to the Pro Day. And then went to the Pro Day and said, oh, wait a second. This guy looks a lot like a lot of great players that have come through the NFL before. You know who Chad Williams' best comparable players are in our database? Malcolm Mitchell, Jeremy Maclin, and Reggie Wayne. Those are great comps. Nice. Most players do not have those guys as their top 3 comps. So Chad Williams has well above average speed, burst. He has nice agility, great catch radius, and he was very productive. 37.4% dominator rating at Grambling. That's his share of the receiving yards and touchdowns. So Chad Williams was a focal point of the offense at a small school. I get it, but so was Corey Davis. So Corey Davis went to a small school. Why can't Chad Williams go to a small school? And the Cardinals said, this guy's pretty good. And they're good at finding small school players. They found John Brown, didn't they? From Pittsburgh State. Not Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh State. Anyone ever heard of that school before? No. They found J.J. Nelson from UAB, and now they've found Chad Williams. Is he going to be the next Larry Fitzgerald? Of course not. This is May hyperbole in the news cycle. But is he a great pick in the third round of your dynasty rookie draft? Absolutely. Once Taywan Taylor's off the board, I'm pushing the button on Chad Williams.
Interesting stuff. I like it. Well, hey, listen, Matt, we've been talking about the receiver here, but let's talk about the running backs here. Eddie Lacy signs with Seattle. Thomas Rawls still there. Tell everybody why C.J. Prosise is still a smart buy in Dynasty right now.
Oh, this is so good. The Eddie Lacy signing was so good for us C.J. Prosise enthusiasts. Did anyone watch Seattle's games last year when C.J. Prosise was in the game? This guy was awesome. Do you remember the first time you saw Devontae Freeman actually look good with the Atlanta Falcons? You're like, oh, wow, this guy's really savvy behind the line of scrimmage. He knows where those creases and crevices are in the offensive line. Well, we saw that right away with C.J. Prosise last year. He was finding those very few crevices because, I mean, the Seattle Seahawks had one of the worst run-blocking offensive lines in football, yet C.J. Prosise, 8.1 yards per touch, was number one in the NFL. Small sample size, but he was finding daylight where very little daylight existed, which was incredibly impressive because he was a wide receiver in college. So he might be like Devontae Freeman, like a savant running back in terms of just developing a feel for the position very quickly. So he was a former receiver. He's incredible in the passing game, has a great feel between the tackles, and he has the size you want in a workhorse back, 220 pounds. So he was also drafted before Eddie Lacy was drafted. Thomas Rawls went undrafted. Thomas Rawls was the fraudulent running back of the last couple of years. The small sample did it again. It got you again, fantasy gamers, with the small sample running back. Tricked you with a small sample. Man, the Seahawks fans were so mad at me after the 2015 season when I called Thomas Rawls Jonas Gray. Seahawks fans were enraged. Did you see those runs against the Bengals? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I saw a couple games where he was pretty good. I also remember his entire career at Central Michigan, which wasn't special. So explain that one to me, Seahawks people. Yeah, right. Okay, that's what I thought. Thomas Rawls is just a guy. Eddie Lacy's 250 pounds. I don't know if he has anything left. The Seahawks love to do this. Take a shot on the guy that may or may not have anything left. They did it with, remember C.J. Spiller? Remember Fred Jackson? So this isn't new for the Seattle Seahawks to throw a dart on a guy like Eddie Lacy and just hope there's something left, some residual left in the tank. Maybe, maybe not. It doesn't matter. Even peak Eddie Lacy cannot compete with what C.J. Prosise is bringing to the table. So it's very much like the Ty Montgomery situation, where I'm pretty sure that C.J. Prosise is the best in the passing game, and in a lot of leagues are PPR, so that's what you're looking for anyway. But I also think there's a very good chance he's the best runner as well and has a chance to be a bell cow back. And both he and Montgomery are great values based on their upside, and they both are going to operate in two of the most efficient offenses. So you did pick a couple running backs that I really like, significantly more than consensus.
Look, we got to take a quick break here and take a breath, catch ourselves here, because this has been such a fantastic interview with Matt Kelley, playerprofiler.com founder. Follow him on Twitter at @fantasy_mansion. We're going to talk to Matt about some dynasty rookie and bust when we come back. You're listening to the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. Eric Balkman, Dave Gerzak, right here on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. Matt Kelley is joining me, Eric Balkman, and Dave Gerzak tonight. Matt is the founder of PlayerProfiler.com. You can follow him on Twitter at @fantasy_mansion. Matt, a lot of great stuff so far from you tonight. I want to bring this up, because I know our time is running short. But if we were to ask you a rookie that you think is going to be a dynasty bust and another rookie that's going to end up having a big value as maybe a second or third round rookie pick, who would that be? So a bust and a sleeper from you, sir.
This is very easy. We can just put the dichotomy right there. Chris Godwin is going to have a much more productive career than Mike Williams. There, I said it. And I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry, San Diego Chargers fans. Your team made a horrible pick. They didn't need Mike Williams because they had Tyrell Williams. They already had a Williams with a great catch radius has a great contested catch conversion rate. The reason why the coaches say, hey, we had to get Mike Williams, great contested catch conversion. Well, actually, we have a metric on PlayerProfiler.com called contested catch conversion rate. Guess what Tyrell Williams' contested catch conversion rate was last year? 80%. Top 5 in the NFL. Oh. He also has a 97th percentile catch radius because he's big, like Mike Williams. But unlike Mike Williams, he's very agile and explosive. So you already had a better version that was tested in the NFL and posted close to 1,100 yards last year. You didn't need Mike Williams. It was the befuddling draft pick of the 2017 draft. I think it was the worst draft pick because Mike Williams was overrated from the get-go. But then to go to a team that didn't need him, it reminded me of Deion Jordan getting drafted by the Miami Dolphins. They already had Cameron Wake. You didn't need Deion Jordan. You already have Keenan Allen, your flanker. You're all set at X with Tyrell Williams. What are you doing drafting Mike Williams? Ridiculous. But Chris Godwin, that was the value of the draft because Chris Godwin has incredible measurables across the board in terms of the workouts, agility, burst, boom, 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 upper 80th percentile, and then he was also incredibly productive at an early age at Penn State. Now, the fit is ideal. We talked about the fit with Taywan Taylor being perfect, just perfectly suited to what Marcus Mariota is trying to do. Well, what does Jameis Winston like to do? Heave it up there. Throw it into traffic, right? Throw you open, right? Take chances, right? Well, guess what Chris Godwin was the best at in college football last year? Converting contested catches. It wasn't Mike Williams. It was actually Chris Godwin, and that's what Jameis Winston is going to ask him to do, and I think he will deliver.
Well, and one last thing I want to bring up about Godwin is because a lot of people are like, oh, it's too bad that Tampa got him when they just signed Deshaun Jackson and they bring in Howard, but Godwin
and they have Mike Evans
and they have Mike Evans. But the long view, I mean, Godwin, you feel Godwin's talent is going to supersede that sooner rather than later.
But he's their slot receiver. What's the problem? The NFL ran more 3-receiver sets last year than ever before. The league is trending toward the 3-receiver set being the default formation. So Chris Godwin's going to be on the field. He's the ideal slot receiver for Jameis Winston. What am I missing here?
Well, I mean, what about the addition of Howard, though, too?
Howard's a tight end. Cameron Brate's done. Get out of here with Cameron Brate. You think they're going to put Cameron Brate in the slot over Chris Godwin? Get the hell out of here.
All right. Well, listen, how much have we talked about Godwin pre-draft on the show, how much we both liked him.
Godwin,
and then he goes to
his last name, guys, do you have a breaking news sound effect? His last name is God plus Win. God Win. What the hell else do you need in a wide receiver?
Well, it's like you said, Matt. Fantasy football doesn't have to be hard.
It's not hard.
And we just look at it from that
Jameis
standpoint.
Winston, and his last name's God and Win. Just don't overthink it.
We definitely will not. Hey, Matt, listen. We talked a ton about player
Brate.
profile.
I gotta get Cameron Brate. Get out of here. Cameron Brate.
We talked a lot about Player Profiler earlier tonight, and we're very excited about the FFPC integration when that happens. It should be shortly. So we're very excited for the players to be enjoying that. Matt, when Dave touched on it before, Roto Underworld Radio, tell the listeners where they can find that and what they can expect when they listen to those.
iTunes, Stitcher, all the places you listen to podcasts. Type in Roto Underworld, and we're the first one that comes up because we are pretty great at podcasting. And my nickname on Twitter is the Podfather. And every week I have a guest on. Last week was Josh Norris from Roto World to talk about the draft. So, and you're coming on the show, Eric, soon, and that'll be fun.
Very excited.
So we have
how much do we have to pay him for that?
high-profile guests. It's a big deal to come on the show. It's kind of like the Howard Stern show for actors and comedians. It's a very big deal when you get finally invited to come sit down with the Podfather and chat. I also do a solo show, and we do a Dynasty show called the Sonic Truth Podcast with Nate Liss, who is an amateur rapper, and he's really great.
Listen, we need more amateur rappers on this show. How many times have I said that over and over again? We get the downloads, we get the clicks, we get the listens if we have more amateur rappers on. I know we're going to get the downloads and clicks tonight. Matt, this was fantastic. We're very excited to have the Player Profiler stats and everything with the integration onto the FFPC player pages. It is going to be such a welcome addition to the software. You have been a welcome addition on this show tonight. I learned so much. I enjoyed myself.
By the way, we have a link to the FFPC on each player page on playerprofiler.com. So you can click Draft Aaron Jones, Draft CJ Procise on FFPC on every single player page. And I will be at the FFPC drafting live in Las Vegas in early September. I cannot wait. This is my favorite draft platform. It's my favorite draft contest, especially redrafts. I mean, there's nothing else like it. So all the guys I respect the most in the industry told me I need to go to Vegas and draft with the FFPC folks, and so that's what I'm doing. I bought my ticket.
Are you coming to the Thursday party?
Maybe.
I
don't
Vegas.
know. Maybe.
Yeah. No, you should.
Are you flying in by Thursday afternoon, or do you know when you're getting there?
I think so. I think I'm flying in Thursday at some point. Yeah, if there's a party, I'm there. Yeah.
Well, make sure it's just for the first NFL game, that kickoff game.
Yeah, we'll have the viewing party, food, booze.
We'll bug you about it.
Yeah, it'll be great.
How did
listen,
everyone
Matt,
not go? Like, it's the perfect because I said, well, listen, honey, to my wife, it's like, this is, they're a partner of ours, FFPC, and this is for work. I'm going to be marketing playerprofiler.com to all the contestants. All the league members, they're going to want to know about it. They're going to want to talk at some point. It's very important that I go there for the business. For the business, honey, for the business.
Nothing but a business. It's a business trip for everyone.
Planet Hollywood. Oh, just never mind that. Every debaucherous activity imaginable invented by humanity is available to me. No, really, honey, it's really about just promoting Player Profiler, just getting the word out, and that's the best place to do it. So,
well, listen, she signed off on it. We can't wait to see you. We can't wait to hang out and chat with you live. We'll follow you on Twitter at @fantasy_mansion. Check out the Roto Underworld Radio podcast. A lot of great stuff. We cannot get enough of Matt Kelley and playerprofiler.com. Matt, thanks so much for joining the show tonight.
Thanks, guys. Don't draft Jamal Williams. Bye.
Duly noted. Duly noted. Yeah, I honestly was thinking about Jamal Williams in the second round of Dynasty Drafts. No more.
You're off.
I'm done.
He's convinced you.
You know what? And I should have told Matt this before we let him go. But you go on the Player Profiler, and like he alluded to it. You go to the there's a draft Chris Godwin button, on the page. There's a draft Aaron Jones. I went to the Jamal Williams Player Profiler page. There's no draft Jamal Williams button on that page. No draft button there.
They have the strike through?
Yeah, it's nothing there. You can like the spot that it is, it's empty.
That's funny.
There's an FFPC logo there, and then that's it. Okay, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll do some fantasy feedback, some emails, some tweets, and much more. Eric Balkman, Dave Gerzak, High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network. The FFPC rookie drafts will have kicked off at the point you're listening to this on the Fantasy Sports Radio Network. Eric Balkman, Dave Gerzak, High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. However, if you're listening to us live on blogtalkradio.com/HSFF, take a breath. Matt Kelley just crushed it tonight. One of the great guests in podcasting. And actually, Dave, I didn't tell you this before the show, but the Dynasty League football podcast.
Yep.
Back when they had the old hosts, Jarrett Bihar and Carl Safchik and all those guys, they had Matt Kelley on, and that was by far and away. I mean, when I was listening to it, this was like 2 years ago, and so far,
right,
that has been my favorite DLF podcast episode. It was
because he brings energy,
but I'm I felt he was a little bit more restrained tonight compared to how he was on that show.
Really?
Peter Overzet from RotoViz, of course, the Fantasyland podcast, he shot me an email. He said, "Hey, I heard Matt Kelley's coming to Vegas. We got to get him on a live panel show out there." I said, "Yes, that would be fantastic. We have to make that happen." He's actually coming on the show this week. And Peter said, "Excuse me." Peter's like, "Yeah, he's a great guest. You just got to kind of dial him in a little bit from time to time." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And it's and obviously we just let him run free and do whatever. So
that's great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Well, it's like when you get these podcast people who they're very beta. I don't know what do you
beta?
Yeah, they're just very calm and whatever.
Understated?
Yeah. That's being kind.
Yeah.
Well, they're boring. So then,
Matt,
you have a very animated person.
Right. But when you're talking about people who don't do like fantasy football podcasts for a living, like Matt does, and he obviously is ingrained in.
Yeah, you didn't tell me that, by the way. Thanks a lot.
What I just assumed you'd know. I mean, look at what he does.
I don't do any research on this show.
All right. Well, fair enough.
Rob's over there picking his nose. He's not telling me anything.
So speaking
you don't do anything here.
All right. Let's move on. So speaking of doing some research,
I'm dislikable. You're dislikable.
Let's try to answer these questions without doing research.
If you've got a question for Eric, Dave, or tonight's guest, send them a tweet at HSFF Hour on Twitter. Email the show at highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Post it in the chat room during the broadcast. Hashtag your tweet with HSFF or just smack Eric in the head. That's highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com or at HSFF Hour on Twitter.
Hello, High Stakes Henchmen. I have Le'Veon Bell in both my FFPC dynasties. Would you guys recommend James Conner as the handcuff? And when should I try and take him? Love your show, guys. That is Steve in Philadelphia. So James Conner, is he the backup for you in Pittsburgh, Dave?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay. Where would you take him in a dynasty draft? Do you feel like you'd have to have a spot in the early to mid-second to grab him, or do you think you can get him later than that?
In dynasty?
Yeah. We could bring up do we have an ADP up right now?
I don't know if I do. I drafted him in a league, so I'm trying to look it up because I have Le'Veon Bell. I traded up.
I got something in my throat tonight, man. Sorry, I don't know. I think it was Matt Kelley. It's just like living in there.
I drafted him at the 301 actually in a rookie draft.
So you could probably get him if you're the Bell owner.
I actually traded for him.
Traded up to?
Traded Cornfins. I gave up a 2018 second for him.
Cornfins, former guest of the show, Jeff Tirabassi. Yeah.
Don't ask me this for a living.
Maybe he hosts podcasts for a living.
Might.
We don't
know. Jeff might do that. He's a great guy.
So if you own Le'Veon Bell, did you own Le'Veon Bell in that league?
Yeah, I do. Okay. That's why I was really trying to target.
So you felt like you were at what
I had
point?
To make a move,
at what point in the draft did you make the move to get that 301?
Well, he was up at the 301, and he's like taking offers, and I'm like, all right, well.
Oh, so he's on the clock. Okay.
Yeah, he's like, well, this is where Conner kind of goes. I didn't pick again until like the 312. I didn't think I was getting him there. So to me, in that neighborhood is kind of where you got to go.
So late second, early third, make sure you get a pick there, and make sure you get him if you believe in handcuffs, especially in dynasty, and especially with that juicy opportunity that's in front of him for Le'Veon Bell, a guy for the third straight year ends the season with an injury.
Yeah. Plus, he likes to smoke the reefer occasionally.
The reefer. How old are you?
Smoking the reefer. You know what? I watch Super Troopers a lot. So
yeah.
I enjoy the reefer reference.
Littering and
Smoking the
reefer. I'm picking at the 109 in my FFPC Dynasty rookie draft this weekend and only have Austin Hooper and Jason Witten at tight end. I'm fairly set at running back with Elliott, Bell, and Jordan Howard. And my top 4 receivers are Beckham, Cooper, Nelson, and Cooks. Clearly, this guy is just emailing in to brag about how awesome his Dynasty team is. Would you advise Evan Ingram if he made it to me there? That is Bill in Miami, Florida. Okay, so you look at this guy's team. He's pretty set at running back and receiver. Only Hooper and Witten at tight end. If Evan Ingram is there at the 109, is he a guy you would look at there?
No.
Why not?
At the 109?
The 109.
I don't like
Evan Ingram. This is FFPC, by the way.
I don't care for Evan Ingram.
Why don't you like him? Situation?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you have to...
Eli Manning?
You have Eli Manning, who's old and getting decrepit. You have Odell Beckham commanding targets. You have Sterling Shepard, who's actually pretty solid.
Brandon Marshall,
yeah, he'll be there for however long.
Paul Perkins.
Yes, Paul Perkins, who you love. And then Ingram,
Mark
so
Favaro.
He's this rookie turd who doesn't...
He's not a turd. Yeah, he's a first-round pick, for God's sake.
He runs a super fast 40, but he's a glorified huge wide receiver. So then even they were talking today on Roto World about how they're going to teach him to play tight end and put his hand down.
Right.
I kind of feel it's a negative. I think they're trying to use this guy. This is exactly like our buddy R.C. Fisher on College Football Metrics talked about Ingram and said, well, everyone talks about this guy like they're going to use him as the next Jordan Reed. Right. Well, he says most NFL teams are too stupid to use players like they say. They're not. They say, we're going to use him like Reed. Then they don't use him like Reed. They try to use him like somebody else, and then he sucks. Well, why? I wonder why he sucks. Because they're using him like somebody else.
Yeah.
Too many people are good wide receivers on that team that get targets already. Ingram's not going to do anything. I don't like him.
Okay. So at the 109, if I'll
take on Njoku. Sure.
I don't think he would be there at 109 in FFPC.
Probably not.
Yeah. And it's too early.
Close, though.
It's too early for Everett or somebody like that.
So this person needs a tight end? Is that what?
Well, he's got Witten and Austin Hooper.
I would wait till the second round. You could pick like Shaheen or one of the other guys.
Shaheen the Dream. Dear Dave and Balky, any insight? By the way, thanks to the email, Bill in Miami. Dear Dave and Balky, any insight on who you would suggest I select as the Philly starting running back in redraft leagues right now? John in St. Paul, Minnesota. Thank you for the email.
Sproles.
Comes down to Smallwood, Sproles, or Pumphrey. Sproles, 1308.
What about what's his name? Matthews. They didn't cut him.
No, he's not on the team.
They cut him?
He was a free agent.
I thought he was still on the team.
No, he's free agent, and he also has a neck injury that he's dealing with right now. Could be a career ender.
Then one day ago it says Ryan Matthews still figures to be released.
Oh, well, okay, so maybe it's...
So maybe I'm right?
Well, maybe you are right.
I accept your apology.
Well, okay, I'm very sorry. This is honestly news to me because you read any Eagles running back stuff out there, so they don't even mention Ryan Matthews.
I know that it's funny because I felt the same way and I looked it up like last week. I'm like, this dude's still on the team.
Okay, so
so let's assume he's getting cut. Fine.
Okay, so here's the ADPs for the Eagles running backs right now in FFPC drafts. Sproles at the 1308, Wendell Smallwood at the 1707, and Donnell Pumphrey not going in classics, going in DEs at the 2409.
Okay, I'm sorry, 1707, 2409, and what was
Sproles 1308. So I mean, like
you can pretty much just you're playing Monopoly. Just get all three of the properties. I mean, granted, these are the light blue ones, like the Oriental and like the ones right after Baltic and Mediterranean.
Yeah, that is the light blue.
Yeah,
Vermont and
whatever it is, like
Oriental and what the heck's the other one?
Chunky one.
Montpelier.
That's not
Montpelier Boulevard.
Vermont, Orient, whatever.
Yeah. Anyway.
So yeah, I think I like Sproles. I do like Sproles the best.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about getting a guy who fantasy owners are saying by where they're drafting him, or by where they're drafting his teammates, they believe that Sproles will lead the Eagles in fantasy points for running backs. You can get him in the 13th round.
There's no way Pumphrey outperforms Sproles, right? I mean, there's literally no way.
Well, I mean,
there's no way unless if Sproles is healthy. There's no way that he supersedes him.
Very tough for me to see a situation where that happens.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, and Smallwood is just like a guy.
Well, I'll use Matt's. Using the name Small and Wood. Small.
Yeah, okay. Good. Very good. Moving on, let's go to Pat in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I saw today that the Broncos are holding an open competition for starting running back. How do I use this to my advantage in drafts? Thanks so much, guys. Pat in Elizabeth, New Jersey. So C.J. Anderson at the 503 right now, Dave. Jamal Charles at the 907. And Devontae Booker, the 2212. So
shut up.
And an afterthought in this offense, basically.
Booker's really going at the 22-12?
According to FFPC ADP, yes.
All right, well, I mean, obviously, Jeff Booker all day long. He's free.
Okay.
So instead of taking...
But is he now... So you're drafting the third-string running back, essentially.
Well, first, I didn't even talk about the other two.
Okay.
So instead of taking the Detroit Lions defense or whatever, I'll take Booker. Fine.
Yeah.
Now, as far as CJ and Charles, I don't... God, I'm so...
The question is, how does he take advantage of Vance Joseph coming out and saying, look, we're going to have an open competition to see who our starting running back is. Is Anderson the play? Is Charles the play? Obviously, Booker is a play for you.
To be honest with you, right now, Booker might be my only play. I might actually punt on those other two and let other people figure it out.
So the way to take advantage is just to stay away.
I mean, there's a chance, though, that CJ and Charles split time, or all three of them are splitting time and messing around, and no one's all that super productive.
Right.
But there's a chance that Booker emerges as the person. I mean, this is like, it's so free, it's ridiculous.
Boy, could you believe that, Booker beating out Anderson and Charles? I guess in this world, anything's possible.
Charles could easily get a complication on his ACLs and just be like, okay, he's not doesn't have it anymore. Then he could get cut.
That actually might be more likely at this point than him actually being healthy.
It's totally true. He could get cut in preseason still, so we don't even know about that.
Right.
And then Booker could beat out C.J. Anderson. I guarantee you that the risk-reward ratio for Booker is like off the charts.
Yeah. So staying away and, again, not taking a flyer in the 5th round. This is actually going to hurt well, maybe not Booker's ADP, but it's going to hurt Charles and Anderson's ADP. Maybe it actually helps Charles. I don't know.
Trade for Booker. I have Anderson in one league. I should try and trade for Booker and bring up his ADP.
Seth in Austin, Texas. Oh, this is a good one. Well, Matt kind of answered this. Well, no, he answered it from the dynasty aspect. Which guy would you rather own? And then he puts in caps this year. Rob Kelley going at the 1207. I'm adding the ADP. Or Samaje Perine going at the 1101. Seth in Austin, Texas. Thank you, Seth. Perine at the 1101 is going essentially a round and a half earlier than Rob Kelley. Is that the price that you would pay? Or would you wait on to get Kelley?
I'd probably pay for Perine. It's not that much of a difference. But it's not as cut and dried as people think. I mean, there's a decent enough chance that Kelley keeps the job all year. I mean, there's a decent chance.
Yeah.
I just want to make, Matt, as entertaining as he was when he was in that segment, and I like Perine as well. I mean, there's just, teams are hesitant to just give it up to somebody else, and Kelley was productive.
And I'll say this, when Matt Kelley was talking about Perine versus Kelley, he was all on the Kelley train. But remember, he also said, you could see all these opportunities slowly going to Perine as the season goes on. So even he's not convinced that Perine's going to be the guy right away. So, but you're right.
People always talk about the emergence of somebody, and it doesn't always work out that way.
Right. Hello, dislikable and slightly less dislikable.
Such BS.
Yeah. Well, thanks for everybody who voted in that Twitter poll. That voted.
You want to announce the results or how that?
Yeah, it was like 71% found you more dislikable.
Yeah, who's more dislikable?
Yeah. Which, I mean, whatever. It was like, it wasn't, I don't know.
You're the ass kisser, and I tell the truth, Paul.
Maybe that's what it is. You're the truth. Everybody hates the truth. The truth hurts.
It does.
But Bulky won't. Which side would you rather have in Dynasty? The 101 or the 211 and Sammy Watkins? TIA. That's Carl in Oklahoma City.
101.
101?
Hands down.
Is it because
I want nothing to do with Sammy Watkins?
Because of the injury, they declined the 5th-year option. You don't know where he's going to be playing.
Yes.
All of the above.
Yeah, the team doesn't even like him. I mean, it's a new front office, but it's like, okay, we don't trust this guy.
Yeah.
His foot's messed up.
Yeah. In a vacuum, you're 100.
I would take probably the 106 over Watkins. I mean, like.
Oh, okay.
No, maybe not the 105. I would take the Dalvin Cook Mixon pick over Sammy Watkins.
Wow. Dalvin Cook over Sammy Watkins. I don't know. Just because you always hate Dalvin Cook. It's just weird for you to.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Time for one more email. Craig in Dayton, Ohio. Let's go to him. Please help Dave and Balky. And he puts a comma. Please help Dave and Balky. Without the comma, please help Dave and Balky.
That's very important.
Either way. I currently have the 107 and could use a third receiver. Currently, it's Eric Decker. Would you deal that pick, so the 107, for Emmanuel Sanders and the 207? I made the playoffs the last 2 years and feel like I have a good shot of getting in again this season.
The 107 he wants to.
He has the opportunity to trade the 107 for Emmanuel Sanders and the 207.
Yeah, I like that. I would do that.
So you would make the trade. Emmanuel Sanders becomes his 3. Decker becomes his 4. I feel like I probably would agree too, and this is coming from a guy who I mean,
Mr. Sanders is on the block.
Yeah, outside of Martavis Bryant, I don't think there's a guy that I want to get off my roster more than Emmanuel Sanders.
You're the Emmanuel Sanders auctioneer of the century.
Yeah, I mean, like, it took, how many years did it take for me to trade Carlos Hyde and Carrington? I finally did it. And now we're working on the other two.
Who did you get? You got Murray and something else.
Oh, it was a terrible trade.
Well, not really, though. Think about it. Look at how it's working out right now, because Hyde sucks.
Yeah, but I traded Murray. I don't even have Murray anymore.
Who did you? I don't understand. Didn't you get Murray?
Yeah, and then I just traded him like last week.
Well, that's okay. So fine, whatever you did after that is your own situation.
No, I was like Hyde and Sammy Coates, and then I got Latavius.
Who's garbage? Coates is garbage. Hyde's garbage, and you got Murray.
Yeah, I don't understand your evaluation of the Steelers' pass catchers. I guess it's Brown and Smith-Schuster, and then that's it.
Okay, Bryant is better than Coates. Coates is.
Well, yeah, but if I mean, like, you're talking the way that you talk about Bryant, it's like a pile of feces and a slightly larger pile of feces when you talk about Bryant and Coates.
You're trying to get like 2 late first-round picks for Bryant.
I'm trying to get one.
Okay, so it was the 112 and the 204
yeah.
for Bryant and like a garbage third-round pick.
That was the third round. It was the pick I got for Latavius Murray.
It's just unbelievable.
It is not unbelievable. It is unbelievable. You know what? It's fine.
Let's keep going. Let's move on.
No, well, that's it.
Right.
That's the last email.
Over?
Yeah, the show's pretty much over. Although we could do.
We killed the show.
I'm going to do a Martavis Bryant standalone podcast. Bryant and Balky, and my first
His
guest.
mom won't even listen.
My first guest, Martavis Bryant. Martavis Bryant, defend yourself. Go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, like Dave said, that is going to do it for our show this week. I want to thank Matt Kelley. What a fantastic guest. Of course, you follow him on Twitter at @fantasy_mansion. Check out playerprofiler.com for literally everything you could possibly want to know about a player, except maybe his favorite color, food, and sexual preference. Dave Gerzak, I want to thank for another tremendous show tonight, the FFPC, Rob, Bryce, and of course, each and every one of you for once again putting up with me and Dave to listen to what a great Matt Kelley interview it was. Next week, 2016 FFPC Revelations defending champ Vince Staffolino will join the show. Vince is a longtime Dynasty player. He's actually been playing fantasy football for more than 2 decades. He will have a lot of great insight to bring for both Dynasty and redrafts. I'll probably talk about this FFPC rookie drafts and how they went too. Make your Planet Hollywood reservations now. Check out the main event at myffpc.com. Scott Engel and the Fantasy Hall of Fame Hour is up next on the Fantasy Sports Network. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Your weekend starts now.
This has been another episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by myffpc.com that was broadcast live and heard around the world. Eric and Dave will be back next week with more analysis, interviews, and advice from a guest much smarter than they are. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk with you again next week.
Him again, the sound the engine in is like a bird. You see fireworks and Corvette tires skirt the boulevard. I know how you work, I know just who you are. See, use a bitch, your hormone probably switch inside your DNA.
A great Mother's Day gift would be this year.
What's that?
First round pick from Martavis Bryant. And I don't think I'm asking too much. Henry Muto said in the chat he offered the 111 for Martavis Bryant and got turned down. So he gets it.
The offer, whatever.
He's just trying to get Bryant.
The one person in the world.
He is going to be traded off my team at some point on this show. Happy Mother's Day.
This Mother's Day, take your mom on a cruise through the amazing aisles at Half Price Books. It's a trip around the world. Invite her to spend the day with her favorite authors, actors, musicians, hobbyists, and of course, her most thoughtful kid. After all, browsing a great bookstore with a loved one is probably just her cup of tea. Hey, Mom gave you the gift of reading. Return the favor during Take Mom to a Bookstore Week, May 8th through Mother's Day at Half Price Books. This Mother's Day, take your mom on a cruise through the amazing aisles at Half Price Books. It's a trip around the world. Invite her to spend the day with her favorite authors, actors, musicians, hobbyists, and of course, her most thoughtful kid. After all, browsing a great bookstore with a loved one is probably just her cup of tea. Hey, Mom gave you the gift of reading. Return the favor during Take Mom to a Bookstore Week, May 8th through Mother's Day at Half Price Books.